Philadelphia, are you ready?
They said, are you ready?
This is Brotherly Love Wrestling Podcast, your first stop for everything professional wrestling. So sit back and enjoy wrestling talk at its finest with your hosts, Larry Hall and Joe Corrado.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Brotherly Love Wrestling Podcast. And today on our show, we have a returning guest, Joakim. Welcome back to Brotherly Love, and it's so good to finally actually see you and talk to you.
Yes. Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. It was wonderful. You know, the first two times I spoke with you guys. It's crazy how we had that conversation the second time we spoke, and I was like, hey, they should put wrestlers in the crowd. And they did it. Yes. And no one ever gave me my just due. Whatever, I'm just trying to put myself over. But no, it's awesome talking with you guys, and it is great to finally see you face to face. So now that if we're ever in at a show together, I know who to look for.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, just on my end, I mean, I'm hoping that I can safely attend the Synergy show. I was thinking maybe we could do Atlantic City, but I don't know what time they'll be done and how quick I could get out there. But, you know, the world is reopening slowly, and you kind of want to dip your toe in the water because who just wants to be home for 4 months?
You want to get that itch. You got that itch. You got to scratch it.
Exactly.
But how you been?
I'm all right, man. Hanging in there. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Same old shit every day.
Yeah, right? Literally. Groundhog's Day for everyone.
Yep. Except for those brave people that go out and do crazy shit.
God bless them. Nobody got fucked more than essential workers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what's essential anymore.
I'm
essential every other week for some reason.
Oh.
This week, not so much.
How you guys doing?
Good. I mean, basically, this is our sanctuary.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, I guess our Battle Club shirts got lost in the mail.
I'm supposed to send you some? If you want, let me know. My partner's been trying really hard to get gear out. So, yeah, just give me an address, and then we'll go from there.
I was just fucking around, but sure.
Good, man. You got to spread. You guys got your own platform, so any exposure from my brand works.
You coming on the show is hopefully going to be good enough exposure for now.
I mean, well, you bring up Slammiversary, I'm going to talk about how great Tasha Steelz was. you bring up the horror show, I'm going to say that eyeball gimmick was awful.
I honestly, I find it harder to talk about what's going on in wrestling right now because everything seems to be they're just passing time to get to when they can actually explode again. Like, they're giving you glimpses of things that you can be excited about just to kind of ease the tension and pass the time. But right now it just seems like, all right, we'll just get through this week. We'll get through this week. We'll get through this week. When are things going to pick back up is when they're going to start to go full on again. I mean, now it's kind of just filler time. And it sucks. It sucks more for the people that have to be there but aren't doing anything. Like the people that have to sit in the crowd and be like, all right, well, I got to expose myself and collect my $150 or whatever the frick they get to be there.
$150.
But well, you would hope it's more than that.
No, I know it's more than that. It's just they're not that for the most part, the people in the crowd is the touring NXT the NXT staff, and they're definitely not doing any touring. But Texas is apparently, even with cases soaring, they're apparently still going to start letting people into the stuff. So we'll see.
I deal with a company out of Texas, like we do. Like it's a national company, like a telecommunication company that we do. They do like Bed Bath & Beyonds and shit like that. We go in there and we fix their stuff. So I talked to them over the phone, and they've been open for this like whole time. I don't think they ever shut down. So I was talking to the one guy. I was like, "Do you guys have to wear a mask anywhere?" He's like, "Fuck no, we don't wear masks anywhere." Like they're real far right. Like fuck
You're
this shit.
invading my rights.
Yeah, basically. I mean, that's essentially how it is. When I talk to them, I'm like, man, I was like, so it's just like, well, what the hell do you guys do? Like, what are we like? Isn't this thing everywhere? So what the fuck? They're doing all this shit, and
I mean, I don't know how political you guys are, but the gist of it is every other country, continent, landmass just shut up and listen to the medical professionals and the government. You know, hey, you need 4 weeks, you need 8 weeks, we'll do it. Us, because freedom is such a thing that we can't have a minor inconvenience. You got half the people screaming that it's impeding on their rights. You got the other half divided amongst themselves, whether it's a conspiracy theory or it's legit. And it's just it's the greedy nature of America. It's capitalism at its best. Like, you're so hyper focused on your rights that you don't realize freedom is for everyone, not just you. Like the people who fight in the army and the navy, the people who fought these wars, they weren't doing it just for their lineage. They were doing it for everyone that the country represented. And it's selfishness.
I mean, by nature though, for a while now, hasn't America been the most selfish
Of
country?
course.
Yeah.
We've always been the most selfish. Like, I had a friend. He was I used to run a Radio Shack, and he was the Sprint representative, and he was from overseas, and he would just talk about how everyone just ranks on America. Like, they'll order food, and one of the jokes is, "Hey, let's make it American," and by that they mean just dump cheese and bacon on it. And it's like, and the way you cook it is by shooting it. And it's like they rail on us all the time. And it's just like I've asked, it's like, what's the perception when it comes to history? And it's similar-ish, but it's like, no, you guys were kind of greedy assholes, and the king wanted to be. And of course, history is subjective, because our history is far from clean, but we try to make it look as spotless as can. But like they were like, yeah, no, the king tried to give you your own colony and stuff, and you guys were ungrateful, and you threw his merch in the sea in Boston. And it's just like the best thing I heard was that America is the Florida of the world.
That isn't a compliment by any stretch of the imagination.
Because
we from the Northeast know what Florida is all about.
Mm-hmm.
And the Northeast, for the most part, I want to say I'll go out. Like, I'm sweating because I ran out to the supermarket real quick. And I want to say the Northeast, for the most part, gets it. I mean, of course, you're still going to get those people that don't. But it's like, this is unprecedented. The last time we saw it was 100 years ago. How do you genuinely prepare when there's a buffoon in office, when, you got people who try to bastardize what the amendments and the Bill of Rights are, and you don't know what this thing can do. So, like, how do you go about taking care of this the right way? You try to listen to the medical professionals, but no one does. Like, outside of mega metropolises, where the majority of far right wingers are, is where this thing is getting out of hand.
It's funny that constitutional rights only come into effect when it's convenient to that person.
Absolutely.
Like, freedom of speech is when I want to say something, but I don't necessarily want to hear it from the other end. The right to bear arms when I have to defend myself when someone else is running away from me. I mean, it's the country. It's no big secret. The country's fucked up. Up. I'd like to say the majority of the people aren't, but it's the people that you hear about, like the big name people that are supposed to be leading either the states, the cities, the country. They're just so far out of touch that they're living like it's 1920. They're living like it's wartime again. It's like that, and we've said this numerous times. It's like when are we going to evolve? When everyone else seems to get it, we just are so imprinted these morals and standards and values and laws that have been in the country for so long that we don't know how to change it. Not we as in us three, but
No, I know what you mean.
as a people, we're afraid.
Right.
We're afraid to change it because we're afraid to fail. Everyone's afraid of failure.
That's the perfect way to put it, because think about every great change you've ever made in your life. Usually, I want to say 90 to 95% of the time, what precedes that immense change is an ass kicking. Physical, metaphorical, literal, whatever. The thing is that we've, since gaining our independence from Britain, we've pretty much never had our ass handed to us. The closest was Vietnam, but it was small enough that it was literally swept under the rug. Like we go into other countries and bully them, and then tell them, oh, this is how you're supposed to run it, and then fucking leave them all messed up. But like we've never had our asses handed to us. The closest we got was the Civil War, and if you do your due research, yeah, there was many great things in terms of civil rights activism and progress. But it was also because, hey, we kind of need to win this war for this side. So, yeah, we'll give you your rights just because you're serving a purpose. Instead of doing it for what the right reason was. It's like, no, you deserve to be free. You don't deserve to be slaves. It's another common phrase out there is a country built by immigrants on stolen land. How do you deny your privilege?
It's become to the point of where it's frustrating to why people don't get that. You've been handed everything your whole life, and now we're trying to divvy up this power, and we're trying to divvy up the responsibility, the respect, the loyalty. We're trying to divvy everything up, and now people don't want to let go of that. Well, if I give this person this right, that means they think that now they don't have the right to do something. Yes, you don't have the right to be a racist asshole. That's what you don't have the right to be. It's not that hard. It's very, very simple. We're going to lose jobs and things. That's not necessarily the case. If you're fit to do your job, maybe you'll keep it. But if all of a sudden your boss or the guy that you knew that got you into the job, you weren't fit for it to begin with, maybe there's a precedent why you shouldn't have that job anymore. Like the equality, we can go on, and we have, and we will continue to go on and on about it in the country right now is just laughable. It's laughable because the people that get it, get it. The people that get it understand it. The problem is the people that get it necessarily aren't the ones that need to.
Right. They can't really perpetuate change. We're seeing it more now. I've had a couple of coworkers I work with who their parents they marched and stuff. They were, part of the 60s movement. And they said when they've spoken to their parents haven't seen genuine and, white people on this scale since the 60s, which means that there's something is right when it's happening. But it's like in the 60s, we got, the people got what they wanted, but they became complacent with what they got instead of striving for more. And then like the 80s, the crack epidemic, and just fucking, how awful everything turned with laws. That's when police brutality, really it was like started up, going towards the late 80s and 90s with the Rodney King situation. And just became okay with things because what you saw on TV was, hey, these prominent African Americans are entertainers and sports stars. And people just got like, oh, okay, well, I'll settle for that instead of, legitimate places of power. Let's put people of color, minorities, let's put them in congressmen and places where they can genuinely make change for their environment. People didn't see that. So if minorities didn't see that growing up, that means people who want to keep things the way they were, they've always seen, well, hey, that person looks like me. And if someone, different is always like, people are scared of different, you always want to kill it because you don't know what's going on. And that's what it is. They have been conditioned to be like, well, we belong up here, and everyone else should be down there, and that's just the way it is. And it's really simple. Bill Nye said it, like, we're all fucking the same. There's no racist. Racist was created to divide people. We're all just people. We just have literally different pigmentation depending on where your family came from through the ages. People don't want to understand that.
I forget who said it, but we're all a part of the human race. We're not different races. We're all human beings. Like if history were all of a sudden deleted and you knew nothing about, you would just see someone. You would say, that person's darker than me. But there's no history behind it to why you should hate them. There's just that person, and that's it. And then you have to look at that person, get to know that person, then make your decisions from there. So, right. I mean, as great as history is to know where you came from, it's also a double-edged sword too, where, yeah, we know everything. This is the way things used to be, and people have gotten accustomed to that. People like white people don't want to lose the power. White people, right. Because if they lose the power's gone, and now they're going to get overturned. Because here it is, you're an asshole for so long, you lose that power of being an asshole, you're gonna get backlash, no matter Karma. What. Yeah, I mean it'll eventually catch up. And I liked what you said. The old saying or cliche is that if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. I mean, they kind of dangle that in front of you, but it's not the truth. You can make it to be a top athlete and make top dollars and do anything, but you can't make it anywhere. You can't, I mean, besides Barack Obama, you can't make it to the top position in the country. I mean, Obama changed that. So there is the inkling of hope, and then we backpedaled. And a lot, yeah. And so now it seems like, and then you throw in the other cliche of one step forward, two steps back. I mean,
that's exactly what it is. And you know, with the pedal and the gas, we just got to go full throttle. Like we can't, you know, there's so many. God, I forgot the Malcolm X quote, but it's like it's acts of kindness, but it's no real change to try to like divert us from what we really want. And you know, some people buy it, some people don't. It's just stupidity all across the board. Real quick, I'm sorry, you probably have a prominent point, but every time I hear a double-edged sword, I always remember my best friend saying, "You mean two-headed dildo because you get fucked either way."
We're stealing that.
I went out to Philly on the 4th of July, and that was the dumbest thing I think I've ever done. Couldn't get anywhere. Just couldn't get. They just kept putting me back on the fucking, what was it, 95 or whatever the fuck. It was like, just go back. Just go back. You can't turn on any side street.
Was that your first time coming to Philly during the 4th of July?
Yes, and it'll be the last.
Yeah. Well, they used to do the wasn't the 4th of July?
Welcome America.
Yeah. The Jay-Z's concert that he would do, the venue that he put up, and the Parkway would shut. You couldn't get into the city, like any part of the city. Larry works right down where they have it, and it is near impossible.
Yeah, it's brutal. With
Obviously,
all them
they couldn't do it. Yeah. It's just, what is it, like 100,000 people down there?
Usually, yeah.
It's almost like what they did when they had the NFL draft here. The freaking city shut down. It's tough because there's a million ways to get in there. So you would think there's a million ways to get out, but once you're in and things start getting backed up, you can't get out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dope shirt you're wearing, by the way.
I'm assuming you mean me.
Yeah, the old school HBK was pretty cool. I mean, the brotherly love one is dope, but we're gonna exchange too. You know. But yeah, I peeped it. And I was like, that's dope.
Yeah, well, Larry had it on last week, and I can't let him one-up me anymore, so I had to wear it this week. I can't not get complimented on this show.
Hey.
So I think I'm just going to do an intro and work everything we already recorded in because it's all been good stuff. So That's why we start recording, just in case. So
we always get we always get like really good things, like, because when we just shoot the shit, I mean, the whole show shoot the shit, but
yeah,
once we start talking, it kind of just, it keeps flowing and flowing. Like we could even intro after all this and just
yeah,
fucking
absolutely,
play.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Conversations. Those are the best conversations. Those are the truest ones. And you know, I had a business meeting with my partners the other day, and they were a little concerned. They were like, "Listen, we get that you want to use the platform for what's right, but we also don't want to lose business." And I'm like, I told them straight up, I'm like, "Listen, if you want business from people that don't care about you, then we can't do business that way." And I was like, our crowd is the people who are being affected the most with this civil unrest. Not only is it the appropriate thing to do, but it's also who we are as a company. We're not in a position to, we're not the WWE where they're not going to, they'll throw Black Lives Matter up there and they'll pander to whoever is watching by putting their titles on all their African American talent. But we are not in a position where we have to stay silent on these subjects, because I have nieces and nephews that are half Black. One of the co-owners is Black. Like, I'd lose my shit if someone I love was had racially profiled or just taken advantage of simply because of the color of their skin. I'd lose my mind. Now, that being said, I just hope the fans understand that we're not anti-white people, we're not anti-Republican or anti-far right, but it's when it comes to cases of legitimate human needs and human rights, like, everyone should have the ability to live freely. I don't think it's that hard.
All right, I want to touch on a couple of things you said there, because you actually brought up a lot of good different points in there. First off, you said you wanted everybody. You wanted Battle Club to have representation. There's enough white promotions out there that are predominantly catered to white people. There is enough of them out there. There needs to be not so much a resurgence, but an insurgence of diverse crowds, because you want wrestling to be for everybody. That's everyone's moniker. Wrestling is for everybody. There's no but. There is buts now because of, I mean, if you look at the Speak Out movement and whatnot, I mean, there are buts. Like, we want it to be inclusive to everybody except for racists, pedos, and all that, and all that. But the main point is that for everybody, you want it to be for Black, white, Hispanic, male, female, LGBTQ. I mean, you want it to be for everybody, because that's how you bring in the most people. If you're just catering to white people, you're just going to get boring white people like us.
Well, see, here's the thing. So, just to double back on who to cater to. So, I've always told my students that you can not agree with someone's lifestyle. That's fine. That's your right. The issue comes where you try to discriminate or show that you're not tolerant of them.
Or you force your viewpoint on
the beliefs on right. So that's what I try to tell people. Like, you could be far right, you could be pro-Trump. That's fine. Don't shove it down my throat, and don't hate if I'm pro-LGBT, pro-life, pro-choice, whatever the case may be. And that's the fine line most people need to figure out. Because if I'm at a party and a couple guys are making out, it literally does nothing to me. Now, I'm pro-LGBT. You guys know my roster. You guys know my friends and stuff. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't do anything to me, whether it's a straight couple, whether it's a gay couple, whatever the case may be. And people need to learn that if it's literally causing you no harm, just shut the fuck up and keep on with your life. That's the thing. That's the thing that most people don't get. You can disagree with someone, but you cannot discriminate. And that's where people get lost. Like, you can be, hey, I'm anti, if you want to be anti-LGBTQ, whatever, that's on you, but don't impede on their ability to live their life.
There's always the thing where you can have an opinion. You can change the channel. You cannot buy a ticket. You cannot show up. You cannot give your support to the people that you don't want to give your support to. But to go back and absolutely shit on someone that wants to support something that is more all-inclusive and has a variety of different flavors, so to speak, on their shows, you can't say anything about that. You can't. I mean, you can because of the quote-unquote freedom of speech, but it comes with backlash. It comes with now consequences that, look, now you've outed yourself. Now the majority doesn't want to associate with you because you are that person. You're that guy.
Right. You don't want to be that guy.
All you have to do is just not pay attention to it. If it hurts you, if it is affecting you internally, which it shouldn't, because it really has no involvement in your life, that you just keep quiet. I mean, promotions like Battle Club Pro, and there's many promotions that are out there now that are putting diversity and putting more things out there and highlighting different groups of people for more people to, I mean, it becomes a niche crowd for so long until it becomes the norm.
Right, and that's what I was gonna get to. So, did you guys? I'm sure you did the Last Dance. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
The Bulls documentary that was 98% Michael Jordan and everything else.
Yeah.
The Bulls. So you take a look at it. You know, he had that meeting with Nike, and Phil Knight jumped on it, and it went from a predominantly struggling tennis shoe company to what it is now, a worldwide power. And if you go back, everything that ends up being explosive starts with minority people being anti-establishment. Rock and roll, it went from breakdancing to hip hop, and now, like, you know, you get all these, and it's great because it shows diversity. It shows, hey, you know, people like to throw out culture vulture. It's not necessarily that. If I'm a white boy that grew up in the hood, that's not me being a vulture. That's just me, you know. So you get people like Eminem, and then, you know, NF is another name that's come up. Logic, the late oh my goodness, Mac Miller. Yeah, so like, and that's what it is. But like, if you really look throughout the course of history, things that end up blowing up started with people of minority, and then the majority people see that, like it, and they make it their own, and it explodes.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I'm gonna stick with our people, because if it's any indication, this is the kind of crowd that's gonna make the scene blow up.
Well, Joe, since we're on that subject, with Battle Club now and the world sort of slowly opening up, but then shutting back down, we don't know what's going on right now. As it slowly starts to get there, what is Battle Club's plans? Like, what are you guys getting in place?
I just had a couple of business meetings, and I'm going to have another one tomorrow with my ownership team and with some sponsors. My thing is, I need to make sure that the crowd is going to be safe, the staff is going to be safe, the wrestlers are going to be safe. I don't think they're allowing groupings in New York of more than 25, and we are not on a platform where the internet, the iPay-per-view would, you know, cover the cost of the show. We're not there yet. We have BuzzFeed working with Title Match is incredible. You know, they've got over 1 million subscribers. Will it bring in revenue? Yes. Will it be enough to make sure that the show is successful or at least break even? I'm not quite sure. But again, I still want to be able to know that it's safe. So once there's a minimum of treatment, you know, I think the goal is a vaccination that's safe. But like, we don't know quite when they're going to allow us to be able to do things. Plus, the athletic commission is being a bit more stern because of all the COVID concerns. So, like, you know, there's licensing in New York. It's always red tape and bureaucratical nonsense. But what I genuinely want for Battle Club, like, once I know it can be safe, man, like, I have just in my head, I've got like the most expensive show I've ever done with the most incredible matches, and, you know, bringing back former talent, bringing in new talent, fresh faces on TV, you know, doing these dream matches that I've always wanted, keeping that production quality going up, and making it about, you know, something that is being planted and cemented in New York and then grows. Because we've been back and forth a lot. You know, we started in the Bronx, We went to Jersey. We've done a Connecticut show. We did a show in Queens. We've done a couple of shows in Brooklyn. And I really wanted to cement that, hey, this is a boroughs project. This is a Bronx and Brooklyn project. And we want to go from there. I would love to take it on the road. But again, I need to know that, God forbid, no one will lose their life being there in whatever capacity that they are. We do have something in the works that I believe is going to kind of shatter the wrestling world, especially in the New York scene. And I am excited to get those steps going because it's all in our kind of mission statement to, make it as inclusive as possible, to showcase, male, female, non-binary talent, and they're all equals. And the show is just, it's like, you take a handful of glitter and a canvas full of glue, and you just throw it on there, and it's all different shades, all different orientations, different ethnicities. And that's the kind of show I want to always keep putting on. So like my heart is just ready to explode and throw myself into a show to make it as great as possible. But I need to know that I can sleep at night and no one's going to be, at any kind of risk.
Now, you said you wanted to put together possibly the most expensive show that you've ever done before. Now, what's your biggest fear when doing that and making sure it's the right time? Like, because if you put in your most expensive show, there's got to be a fear of bellying up almost, that you don't want, because the show's not going to flop. If you put the right talent out there, it's not going to flop. It's going to be a hit. But if the timing's not right and the people can't attend and you don't have the video deal or whatever you need to back it, then becomes a problem.
Right. And that's why, like, I'm in no rush. If I don't get NISAC and government clearance until next year, then it'll be next year. Unfortunately, we were only able to run one show this year, and that show was incredible. But it was Jersey, and everything's legal in Jersey. But, like, I don't want to keep going back to that because that's not who we are. So as it stands, if we only have one show for 2018, it would be in Jersey. The return has to be home, whether it's the Bronx or Brooklyn. I've been looking around. It's got to be home because it's got to be us. And I have to know that, like, I have the capability to not go belly up. Like, the mission for a long time has been put the greatest wrestling possible on without losing any money. It's not the most common business practice, but I want to build the trust with the fans, and I want them to know that everything we do is about giving you the best product. I'm not going to sit here and we're not trying to line our pockets yet, or at all for that fact, but I want you guys to know that it's a family-run business. You feel like you're going to grandma's house when you go to a Battle Club show. You feel comfortable, and you're going to get the greatest content that you can get. So that fear of going belly up, it's every show, no matter how stacked the card is. I freaked out about the January show, and the turnout was incredible because a lot of it was at the door. And I think that was because of some of the unclarity, because it was back in January, but the COVID thing was up in the air. And it really didn't get to us until March. But, I feel like my crowd's pretty intelligent. So they had their ear to the ground. They were like, hey, this thing could get bad. So that's probably why they all waited until the door. And it was also right after the holiday season, so maybe they didn't have it on them then. Whatever the case may be, that fear of not being successful is there with every show. And that's why, at least I feel, if you're a smart promoter, you do everything you can, from social media to literally going out and handing flyers to people, asking businesses to put flyers up, doing podcasts where you can get to talk about your brand. Like, you do everything to push the product because you don't want that to happen.
And what if you had, say they gave you all the clearance, would you rather do a indoor event in a regular arena, or would you kind of maybe want an outdoor thing, like in a park or something?
I mean, everyone has, waxed poetically of our outdoor venue. Like, they love it. And then, like, if you get in that time where the sun is, where you're at, like, dusk, it gives it a cool ambiance, and the building, the way it surrounds the ring, kind of looks like a castle, and then like the stars are out. So like I definitely would do an outdoor, weather permitting. Also because you know you get that, like, it kind of feels a bit safer, you know, with what's going on. Like you have the fresh air constantly moving, so you're not indoors with the possibility of catching something. At least you're outdoors. You know, like they've made outdoor dining. They permitted that in New York City because they feel it's safer than indoor dining. So now parking was a mess before. It's even worse now because everyone's just taking up 12 parking spots, you know, down the block just to get some kind of sit down revenue.
Yeah, we know the feeling.
Yeah, for sure.
I double park a lot because there's no parking in that city. Cops haven't got me yet.
All right, so Joe, I do want to, because we actually have to go real soon, so we do want to cut the intro and then just turn around and end the show through that. So I'll start that, and we'll do it that
Unless
way.
you got something else you want to get on.
No, I mean, it's kind of, you know, you mentioned the speaking out movement, and it's kind of wild how, you know, how we ended up getting linked together, because you never see that coming. And it was shocking, and it was crazy, and you know, I was taken aback by it because I didn't realize how much people associated me with that individual. Like I was like, and everyone was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, and you know, I felt like, wow, was I really his only friend in the business? Like he had plenty of friends, but I didn't understand the scope of what it was. And what he did was inexcusable and awful. But the humane side of me was like, make sure this dude doesn't get himself killed. Send him a wellness check. You know, I reached out. Obviously the inside, I was like, yo, you owe me an apology, or you owe me something, an explanation. Like, don't just disappear. But, you know, he did. That's what he pretty much did, was just disappear on everybody. It sucks because you swear you know someone and you never really do. And you never really see that being the thing that you don't know about a person. But for the victims of the speaking out movement, you know, whether you're a worker, a fan, sponsor, staff, or whatever, like, I want to let you guys know that it's our personal mission that you're always safe if you come to anything Battle Club related. You don't have to worry about that. You know, me and my ownership team, we're going to be really diligent in making sure everything is up to par and no one's being bothered in any way, shape, or form. If you're a talent and you've reached out, or I've reached out, or we haven't worked together, you know, know now, like, that's what you're going to be coming into, somewhere you can be totally yourself and be totally safe. And the goal is to change the culture of wrestling, not just, you know, in terms of not being harassed, not being a victim, you know, just professionally. Like, it's been called professional wrestling forever. So my goal, my end game is that when it's said and done, wrestling actually is so much more closer to being a true profession on the independent level. Obviously, the big boys with the millions of dollars and the grand TV deals, they're as professional as it gets. But I need to know that I left the print on the business where it starts, where you get the 18 and 19-year-old kids who are trying to live their dream. They're safe. You catch them on the way up and let them know, hey, this is actually a profession. Let's treat it as such.
Good words. Very well said.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Joe, we thank you so much for taking the time with us. It's always good talking to you. And like you said, we hope that the next time, or we can see you a lot sooner than later, at least at a CZW show or some local show here in Philly, or even if we find a way of making it up to you.
Did you know, CZW is still kind of on the rocks with a lot of
Yeah, I
stuff.
know. Yeah.
I don't know of any South Jersey companies, but I think MLW is going to start touring once a few more of their regular spots are, more open or there's looser restrictions. But hell yeah, man, we guys get together, wearing each other's shirts and grab a beer.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you've crossed over to a 3-time guest. Only few people have done that. You
Yes.
could be the first 4-time.
Ah, man, I'm telling you, man, I would love to. I mean, just our 4-year anniversary, I would love to do something. I don't know what it is. I'd love to do something. Whether it's an actual wrestling show or maybe even, something else. But if we do decide to pull the trigger, I'll let you guys know because I'd love for you to be there.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on going a little bit more cinematic with your talent?
So here's the thing, like, we've always kind of been anti every other indie company.
Yeah.
So, like, the indie company, the normal indie company thing to do is, hey, let's grab that fresh off the WWE roster person and put them on our card. And we've kind of avoided that. Like, the only person that I knew for sure was, like, people associated with WWE was Drew McIntyre, and that was our second show. And we were still kind of learning our identity. Since then, it's always been about grabbing people that are going to go to the mainstream show, but not coming off of it so much. The cinematic thing, I like the way they go about it, but I also, like a lot of people, I've already seen it. Some of the worst matches I've seen in my life is because they're trying to recreate it. And it's like, you gotta, the Jobber Cheers podcast is one of our best sponsors, and Sir Wilkins, he's steadfast with his opinion when it comes to pro wrestling. He's like, you got to be able to wrestle for TV. So, there's indie wrestlers and there's wrestlers ready for TV, and then there's wrestlers on TV. It's like, if you can't wrestle on an indie promotion like you're ready for TV, you shouldn't be doing a match specifically for TV because you don't know how to work those angles. And I'm not trying to shit on anybody, but it's like, it's got to be done. The reason it worked with Bray and Cena and Taker and AJ is because they've been made for TV for 20 years. So there is, like, you have to. It's more than just pointing and shooting. Like, and a perfect example of a cinematic match that was great was Pinky Sanchez and MB Young. Like, I enjoyed watching that. But there's been far many more that I was like, oh, that's kind of questionable. I appreciate the effort. But, and at the same time, you only know how to get better if you try it. I'm still going to hold off on it. I think there's other avenues to explore before getting to that, to kind of keep some buzz going about you, like doing podcasts. But you just got to get innovative. You got to learn how to use the remote platform to your advantage.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can see that.
That makes sense.
Well, if I have any ideas, then I will sure bounce them off of you.
Yeah, I'm always, like I tell everybody, I'm always all ears. If you just want to, if fans, I've had it, like, lately it's been a couple fans just hitting me up, just shoot the shit, and ask about, and us, and we're like, we're not going anywhere. But, I can't in good conscience do anything where someone are sick. Well,
if anything, I'm the out-of-box thinker of the show, so I'll get the wheels turning.
Appreciate it. And, if something sticks, man, you guys can jump on commentary. Who knows?
I don't know if people want to listen to us, but I get confused easily, but I'm a good idea guy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, Joe, again, thanks so much. It's great seeing you, great talking to you, and hopefully we'll talk to you real soon.
Yes, you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for having me on.